It started as a call for help. It ended in a tragic death. Now the family of 18-year-old Keith Vidal is speaking out. The schizophrenic teen was behaving erratically on Sunday when he was shot and killed by police in his home in North Carolina. Vidal's family says they called authorities for help, and 2 officers appeared to be getting the situation under control. But 70 seconds after a 3rd officer arrived, Keith Vidal was dead. Vidal's stepbrother arrived moments after the incident and is the sole spokesman for the family. He sat down with David Mattingly for an Outfront exclusive.
3 law officers from 3 different jurisdictions were involved when young Keith Vidal was shot and killed in front of his family in his own home. 2 of the officers have already been cleared. The chief of Boiling Spring Lakes Police says his officer acted according to policy and to law. The sheriff of Brunswick County says his deputy did the same. And you might be surprised to hear that Keith Vidal's family agrees.
Do you believe that those 2 officers did nothing wrong?
Yes, I believe those 2 officers did nothing wrong.
Vidal's brother, Mark Wilsey, tells me Boiling Spring Lakes police were familiar with Keith's problem with schizophrenia and had been to the house at least 3 other times. This time, the local officer knew him and knew what to do. A Brunswick County deputy assisted. But he says everything abruptly changed when a plainclothes detective from another town who did not know about Keith's illness arrived at the scene and told the 2 officers to use their stun guns.
All they did was tase my brother and try to get him in handcuffs so he couldn't harm himself. They had the situation completely under control.
But the 3rd officer?
The 3rd officer is 100% in the wrong. Why would somebody shoot a 90-pound kid with 2 full-grown officers on top of him with 2 tasers deployed inside him? There's no reason.
An official description of why the detective pulled his gun and shot the teen in the chest has not yet been released. A recording of radio traffic shows the detective claims self-defense.
I don't know if you've been advised or not, but shots fired. I've had to defend myself against this subject.
That detective is now on paid administrative leave. His boss says there hasn't been an officer shooting in his department for 20 years, and the detective's record was spotless.
Your officer said on the radio that he had to defend himself. Was that the case?
Well, I wasn't there, and I don't know other than what they told me at the radio station.
But the question that so many people have, how does an 18-year-old kid who's only 100 pounds or so and is already subdued end up dead?
Well, that's what I'm waiting for when I hear all the inquiries that are made by the investigation when it's complete.
At just 18, young Keith Vidal was struggling with a difficult illness. His family says he had been diagnosed with schizophrenia within the last year and was having trouble finding medications that worked for him. When they called police, all they wanted was help getting him to a doctor.
David Mattingly joins us now. David, you know, all 3 of the officers involved in this case are getting some support tonight. Am I correct?
That's right. It's from the Police Benevolent Association of North Carolina. They actually hired an attorney to conduct their own investigation of what happened here. They released a statement today saying that all 3 officers acted properly, including the detective who pulled his weapon and fired that fatal shot. They described the screwdriver that the young man was holding as a deadly weapon. And they said that after this young man was hit by the stun guns, the hand he was holding that screwdriver in made contact with one of the other officers, and that's when the detective fired in order to protect what he thought he needed to do to protect that officer. That sort of conflicts a little bit with what we heard the detective saying in that recording on the police radio when he said he was protecting himself. Now, the official investigation, no one here on the local level is handling that. That's been kicked up to the state, and we're waiting to see what their findings are here. And even that may not be the last word. The family, of course, already has an attorney and is probably considering legal action. Don?
David Mattingly. Thank you, David.